hate some of you, but for today, as we worked hard yesterday, we try to focus on the perspective of the academy, which is for the moment the main project of Ecett. So, first question, do you have understood, c'est bon ça? Understood? Do you have understood the project in its globality? And do you have some question about that you haven't understood about something to understand the project? Do you have question on it? It's the moment. If there is no question, we suppose that you have understood, and then you are able to explain it in your country to other people, clients, trainees, supporters, sponsors, and so on. If not, please ask the question. When you go back at home, you say, yes, I have understood, I know what it is, I know the global project. We will build an academy with that. Are you sure?
But if we have questions, we can come back.
Sorry?
Sorry? If we have questions, we can send you a mail. That's it.
You have no. I don't want to have any mails about question. The question on now. You have now 10 minutes to put questions. And then we go to the step 2. You have understood and you will be our ambassadors. Crystal.
I have a little doubt, okay, about recipients, receiver, destinatary. Is this project for educators who work already in ETC, or can we extend it to other students who are interested in this subject? And how to do this?
Andrea ou Georges?
In my opinion, it's open. It's open because it's a good opportunity to do lifelong learning. But I think it's unique opportunities for students in order to understand what happens in the real world. You know, when you do a traineeship, you do a traineeship in an organization, in a place, and you know in depth that place, and you get information about that place. If you have the opportunity to be trained within an organization like Ecett, you have an overview of many practices in a lot of organizations, and you may compare different spaces, different places through good practices. And so I think that this could be a good, could be complementary with academic training in order to improve the contact with the world of professionals and the social work and any kind of topic we may include in our training. And so, by my side, I'm very, very open.
You anticipated my second question. You're always no, because it would be interesting, I also could propose to some university. Listen, we have a package of training. If you are interested, you can include this training in your program, university program. I don't know if it's possible. I'm thinking about my university. Okay, if I propose, for example, 2 hours of webinar in a subject of pedagogy of addiction, it will be perfect, you know, it would be perfect. So I'm thinking maybe it is possible, it's allowed to do this, to propose to university some webinar like 2 hours in some subject?
Yes, you know, when we have webinars, webinars are open.
Yeah.
So the only thing we ask people is to register themselves in the system. And I did it the same last year with a group of students of University of Bologna, and they took a lot of advantage by listening to people from different countries in Europe to explain their good practices. I think that for university could be a good opportunity, because in Italy, for example, they are lacking courses in English language, and they have to do that because they are in Erasmus networks, they host foreign students, and so it's very useful for them to have some contribution and some training in English language. And I think that it could be also a good opportunity for us to get in contact with them, because if you go with them to offer something and to partially solve their problems, they probably will be more
willing.
Yes, with you.
Yeah. No,
This is my opinion. I'm not.
No, it's really good idea. I have idea to propose to Catholic University of Milano, who is really known, and they also can accept 2 hours of webinars like training, and it's just marvelous like idea. Thank you. All is clear.
Andrea, did you receive a lot of information about the training needs? Did people answer to the line survey about the training needs?
Yes, I need some time just to connect my PC. Maybe after the exercise I may show you what we have no farther than the last time we meet as committee, but I will show you an overview of the needs, some statistics about the need. But I think it's better to do after the work, because it takes some time in order to connect my PC and okay.
And
did we decide how it costs? How does it cost?
this is sensible question, and it
No,
was not
it's not a
possible to
sensible
know
question.
exactly the response. Keep calm. Keep calm.
I'm calm.
And so we have une fourchette. Comment on dit ça en anglais?
No, we have defined some principle.
Some
to
principle on the
define
price.
costs. We have to be fair. We have to, but we have also to be competitive in the training market. And so maybe that one teacher may cost more than another. Maybe that you have to include or not to include travel expenses. Maybe you need a particular work to transform teaching time in e-learning activities. You perfectly know the fact that 1 hour of direct teaching, of teaching in person, is less expensive than 1 hour in e-learning, because you have to prepare material, to record video, to do some editing work, to transform some evaluation system in something which is suitable for the digital platform. And so you may not say 1 hour of our training will cost, and we know that it will be probably from 60 to 180 euros, but it's a quite large range of prices. For example, in the case of the webinars, was quite easy to define a price, because I know the time I spend. I know the time spent by Fabienne, George and Paulina to organize the webinar. I know that I have to pay 2 or 3 teachers according to the number of people presenting good practices for at least 1 hour. And so that's why yesterday I told you 1 hour of webinar is around 300 euro. But it's a particular thing. You have the presence of 3 teachers, even if they are not professional teachers, but if you had to pay that, the cost is that. When the company asked us a training course and the development of a specific platform for their needs, we prepared a very detailed budget, and we presented a very precise cost. It is possible to do that, and even if some costs for us are not costs because I mainly work for free. A lot of people for Ecett are working for free, and so we have lower costs. But it's important to understand which are the costs. To say now how 1 hour may cost, it's quite difficult. We may think that we will be in the average cost of a senior teacher in the university if we are in contact with the university, and so we have to get that price by keeping something and taking something off the course. And we are talking about in Italy from 60 to 90 euro per hour. Senior teacher, external senior teacher paid by a university.
It has been decided that about the prices we have a base, and on that base of principle, like accessibility and low cost, Andrea will be able to make the price of a package. For example, specific for this client or this need or this demand. So it will be done at the moment. But we know that it will be probably a lower cost than other trainings and so on.
And of course, we may provide, for example, e-learning training for an amount of money lower than the actual price, because we may consider that an investment. If we are training about things that may be useful for 4, 5, 6 years without updating them and without, if you ask me, an e-learning course of 4 hours, I may provide it to you. The course may cost, for example, 800 euros. 4 hours of training for you, 800 euros may be too expensive. I may consider that I may give it to you for 350, because I will reuse it with other companies. If it is a topic, a subject which is interesting also for other organizations. On the other hand, if you do a training which is tailored on the needs and on the specifics of a single organization, you have to consider that after that you can't reuse maybe 60 or 70% of that course, and so you have to get you have to cover all the expenses with that course.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we know, thank you Andrea, we know that this question is important and has to be discussed also later, but we know the base of our work and principle. So, are there other questions?
So we are going to come to my to explain to everybody that will be only next year, the beginning of next year. So before that, I will give small explanation. But if some people in my job are interested to follow a webinar, but they don't have a login, all they can do.
It's not a problem. If you go on our platform and you're like Facebook, you create an account.
Okay, just like that.
Yes, and
Yeah,
if you want to participate to webinars, there is a link specific for the webinars. You have to subscribe to this webinars on a lab, so we'll be questioning.
But consider that the link for the webinars is always the same since the beginning. And so if you click on that and a webinar is online, you have just to click on it and you enter in the webinar. To register in the platform, you only need one email. Sometimes may happen that you are refused because your email has been already used within the system.
The email
And
of the
in that case, you may contact. There is the address. You may contact the support. And we will change your password or we will reset your password, or you may do the automatic procedure, just clicking and asking to reset your password, and you will receive in your mailbox a link in order to recover and reset your password.
Thank you.
Yes, Ellie?
Okay, hello. My colleagues had this question. I don't know if it's the time to answer it or it's very technical, but they asked for it, so I have to pose the question. They were asking if the trainers get paid for the academy, which is the way to get paid? Because although it's part of the public sector in Greece, and the procedure to get paid from other funding is quite difficult. So if you have any idea about this, there are plans.
Yes.
So normally,
Yes, we have. There are three possibilities for the trainer to be paid. The first possibility, the trainer is independent and is working for himself outside a structure. And so he gives invoices and Ecett pays invoices. Okay? We made a contract before the training between the trainer and Ecett. Second possibility, the trainer has no possibility to make invoices. He has no the government authorization or a number of TVA or something like that. And so some in Belgium, I just know about the system of Belgium, there is some platform which are called services between citizens. Okay? And so you can work without taxes and without, you cannot win millions, of course. You can work for an association or for another person and ask for money. So the same, you ask what money do you want, and then it's a contract between Ecett and the person. Okay? Occasionally. And then the third possibility, the trainer is in a structure and the structure sends the trainer during his work time. And so the structure will be paid because the trainer, it's his work usual, he is paid during his time work, so work time. And so the structure can be paid by Ecett. For example, Trampoline has a services of prevention, which is ressources, and they gave two of Paulina and her colleague. They gave trainings in prevention for schools, for association, and then and trampoline send an invoice, and then it's paid. At the moment, this is the three possibilities to pay the trainers. Maybe in other country there are other system, other.
Okay.
A question about the third possibility is the matters of the training belong to the association, and so the rights could go to the association. It's a sensible question too.
I think it's correct. It's absolutely correct. In fact, I think it would be very important to prepare special declaration for the trainer that he gives rights to asset
In a frame.
in a frame.
Structure.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Because it's not private material, but belongs to asset.
Belongs to
Asset.
Ecett or the structure. For example, a good practice created in CEID is the property of CEID.
Exactly.
And so it should be
Intellectual-
CEID to give the invoice for.
The issue is intellectual property.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. We know. It's a question.
Yeah.
But as you know, of the intellectual property, on the intellectual property, you have rights, and one right you may not give to others one right, which is the author name. And so you may not take something and change the author name, both if he is a person or an organization. The second right is the exploitation right, and in that cases, not in the case of good practice normally, but in that case, may be that your organization, the organization you are working for, or the editor, the publisher you are working for, both also the exploitation right. And in that case, even if you are the author, you may not use it, and you may not distribute to others. You have to provide the link of the publisher who bought the rights of exploitation, and people have to go through that link. But this is the normal matter for a teacher, and a teacher normally know that. Probably it is better to define that it was clear at the beginning in Ecett, because Ecett was a project of knowledge exchange, and so no selling knowledge, that the good practices may be exploited in another way. This should be clear, and probably we have to put some notes or some information in the database of good practices in order to tell people and to tell organizations that the copyrights of good practices exist in terms of attribution. So you are the organization where this good practice have been observed, but not in terms of exploitation, because the exploitation is for free.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think this discussion is very important. If someone is preparing, for example, PowerPoint, I would suggest that each PowerPoint should have logo of Ecett.
That's the case, I think. That's the case for the moment.
Because okay, this is my content. I prepare my webinar with etc. with contents, etc., etc. But somehow my content also belongs to Ecett.
Mhm.
And in this way, who is sharing later, because we have to spread our knowledge, know-how and good practices. But when someone is sharing, should share with the logo of Ecett. I think it's correct. Because in this way we belonging to an organization, a training center, academy. So the logo of the academy should appear anytime if someone is using our material. I think so.
I agree with that. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So we can
the
prepare,
logo
for
has
example-
a copyright. The logo has the copyright.
But
Not yet, no.
Emmanuel Orban avait fait quelque chose. Hein. Emmanuel Orban did something about copyright and Ecett,
We see.
I think. So it's a good idea that each PowerPoint that appears on the platform should have the logo of the academy.
We can prepare a shablo
Yeah.
like a standard PowerPoint, and everyone is. It will help also to trainers to prepare a PowerPoint, okay?
Yeah.
And in this way we have logo which will appear anytime when we use, when someone will use also later our material. I think it's correct. It's my suggestion, I don't want to push anyone.
Yeah.
Just suggestion.
Are you
I think
okay?
it will put order.
You think it's a good idea? Wake up. Wake up! Answer to me! Yes or no, okay?
But maybe it could appear both logos. And like we are presenting a good practice of trampoline or
Yes, of course, with the logo of the association, of course, of course, of course.
Yes, why not?
Of course.
But for what concerns the question of Eleni, we are not we are not able, we are not going because we are not able to contact each organization. So everything's related with the authorization to teach within the academy, within Ecett or within our network is on the responsibility of the teacher.
Mm.
So if you have a contract with your organization that doesn't allow you to teach in an external courses without authorization, and you do it for the academy, this is not the responsibility of the academy. If you need a letter, a letter of commitment with the academy, by the academy, or a letter of interest in your activity and in your teaching, we may provide it, and we may say, Mrs. or Mr. Is going to, we are asking the authorization, we are asking to, no, not the authorization, we are asking to Mr. Or Mrs. to participate as teacher in a course. If in some cases in Italy, for example, you have for people working in the public sector, you have to tell also the amount of money, the total amount of money you are going to pay them, and that kind of declaration we can do. It is possible by Ecett, but what is not possible is to ask by our side the authorization to another organization. This is the responsibility of the teacher.
I think the best way for this question, the best way to work is to work with the association. That is the best way, that the structure agree that you are going to give a training. That's the best way. But it's also possible for independent person.
I have a question about when will we start the promotion? Who will do that? And when will it start? This means at what moment people can begin to contact the academy to say, well, I need this kind of training.
About communication, we talked yesterday that we will do its promotion. We will do it in two phases. For the moment, as we have a lot of questions and the catalog is not ready and so on, we will do global promotion.
Yes.
With the group we were yesterday. Probably in a few days, and before 2 months we engage themselves to do things. About the first requests,
We have already started.
we already yes, we can start
Okay,
with
yeah.
a pilot.
Okay.
The first request will be pilot proposals.
What will happen, it will be that in the website we have started with draft pages, you arrange it and so on, and there will be a contact form in order to ask for a project or ask for information about the training, and I think that it will be the second step after the survey on needs, because we cannot continue on doing needs survey, but we have a survey on needs of organization, but we have to start to contact, and maybe an organization, in some cases when I was working in CES Formazione, some organization asked us to do the project starting from the questionnaire on needs. So they do not ask us specific contents, but they ask us to identify amongst their employees the specific training needs. And so our work started by defining a framework, as we have done with the survey, the academy survey, submitted to the people in the organization, to all the employees and workers in the organization, and collecting the information and presenting it to the HR manager, saying your people training needs are these. We may proceed by providing you this kind of formation.
I have another question, but I wonder, we defined a class of clients, and which will be students in high school and university, and for the moment we work not for them, we work for workers. So there is maybe we have to precise that the pilot phase and the tests will be done on workers and association, and after that maybe we will be able to create courses for students. How do you see that?
We may already say that we have already done that. It was in
yes,
the
but
framework.
you're not ready for students, because we need high quality to have courses for students.
I do a 38 hours course at the university with the Ecett material. It was not in the framework of but since 5 years ago. It was not in the framework of Ecett Academy, because Ecett Academy didn't exist at that time. It was in the framework of Ecett, and so I let my students to enter in the platform. I let them to see some good practices, and I asked them to give to Ecett their own good practices. They are good practices written by trainees and by students and not by professionals. But they did
this
it.
is already done.
Not
formally,
formally and not totally, but it's a process which is already on since 4 or 5 years ago.
So we can add that the second class of clients will be workers.
Yeah.
Okay. I think think the strategy will
Do
be
you
different.
think to split the workers as organization, or you keep it?
Workers
for
and
me, it's better
organization.
because they have different needs.
Split?
Yeah.
That's define the clients, and I think the strategy will be different when for the communication and from promotion. That will be different material and different strategy to promote the academy in those three groups. Those three groups.
I would add also training institution. They are organization, I know, but
Yes,
in this case they will be more partner than customer.
Opérateur de formation.
Parce que dans
Training operator. C'est bon ça?
because in the third case we are talking about organization who are just buying a training. In that case we may do partnership in order to provide locally some training activity.
Fabienne, will we have a report of what has been said yesterday? I think we should make a report of this meeting with the summaries of the three workshops of yesterday and also of the answers of today.
Yeah. Now the question is, you know that to prepare this academy we had some people in a small group. It was Andrea, Zdenka, Paulina, Begonia, George.
Javier,
We were 6.
you speak about the task force.
The task force for academy
Javier.
to prepare.
Javier was there too.
And Javier, yeah. I thought we were 7. We had discussion, we had, now, do you think that we have to continue work in those short group, or only in the board, or with everybody? How are we going to continue the work now?
I will just carry on with the setup that we have had, and if there is anyone who is interested in joining the group, why don't they? But I think discussing it on the board level is not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. We need some more input, and I think the way it has been so far, it was quite productive, and I will just carry on.
So we'll continue with the little
That's
group,
what
and if you want to join the group, we will send you the date of the meetings, which is nearly 1 per month,
Yes.
2 hours per month for 6 weeks, depending if we have decision to make or okay. And then you're welcome, of course, to give your idea. And if you have no time to participate to the meeting, you can also send ideas or to make progress in the project. Nice, nice, nice. So I just have other questions, okay? About the catalog of trainers. You remember yesterday, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 1 is finished. Step 2, we are building the catalog. Andrea did the format and the charter and the prints, the philosophy of the project. And then we have a list of persons who had subscribed on live survey to be a trainer. Some of them are not complete, and we cannot make a good file, a good entry with those information. So, do you agree if I send you this list of trainers, and if you know by country, if you know the person in your country, please contact her or him and say, yes, nice, you will be a trainer for Ecett Academy, great, but could you fill in all the details of your CV, Would you send the pictures to Paulina? Could you do that to make the catalog more complete? And also, we miss some trainers. From Kethea, we have nobodies. Does someone has a private contact with Fotis or other person in Kethea and could ask to have trainers from that association? Paulina? Okay.
I'm in touch with Fotis regarding mobilities.
Also, yeah.
I can mention it, but we don't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In Poland, we have no trainers except you, Michael. Could you engage yourself to find 1, 2, 3
Yes,
trainers?
it's not the problem, and I try to have, I think, 2, 3 persons,
Nice.
with, including Jolanta and the other, maybe 1, 2 trainers.
Okay, thank you. From Spain, we only have one,
Yeah, that's it.
and not from Proyecto Hombre, so could you, Begonia, try to find persons to contact, explain the project, explain that it's not because they have written a CV that they will be obliged to give training, but they could be a resource, and they are free to accept or not after that. Do you think you can find?
No, since they have to be people from that belongs to an organization that belongs to Ecett, so that means that Proyecto Hombre.
Yes, we said that the trainers should be
Yeah.
validated by the
That's
partner
right.
organizations.
And mostly, if it's going to be the logo of Ecett, I think we should be really careful with the people that is going to train, because that means that you agree what the trainer is explaining. So, okay.
Yes.
So, but I already discussed it with my bosses, and they said that me, yeah. And so
And we said the competence, the knowledge of the person is more important than the language. Of course, we look for people able to train in English. Of course we look. But if you have someone who is very good in some practices and he just speaks Spanish or Polish, it can be helpful at the national level. People in Spain or people in Poland can ask for training in Spanish or in Polish.
yeah.
So people can say, well, I can give this matter, but I do it in Spanish. It's also totally.
Yes, the language will not a problem because maybe the client will be in the same language than the trainer.
Thank you.
So, then from France, we have maybe Nicolas, but it's not complete. If you can find 2 or 3 people able to teach some matters, some topics, and the topics are not only in addiction. The topics are larger, social matters, homeless people, youth,
And in
so on.
management,
Management also. Casimira, do you think you will be able to find people? Do you think about people?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yes, about some of our colleagues.
Yeah.
Our colleague Agnes, she has already experienced.
Yeah, that's will be fine. Yeah.
Our boss, psychiatrist.
Jean-Michel?
Yes.
Mhm. Why not? Why not? If it's different to participate to a presentation of Ecett Academy than if someone you trust, speak about the project. The communication is completely different because you know the person and you know what kind of fears he has or they have, and so you can give a more pertinent response. I think we need that for the moment. We need ambassadors.
And the idea is that the person is familiar with Ecett, with mobilities, or only with the method.
The method. the method or method of management or different topics. There are different topics they can teach. The
They
only
don't have to be connected to the mobilities. They don't have to have experience with these mobilities.
yeah.
It's mobilities is one part.
One part of it,
This
yeah.
is different. And
Yeah.
maybe whoever who is somehow expert in their own field and would like to share it. And this is where Ecett comes in, sharing the knowledge.
And then Javier and Lisa in Ireland, do you think you can persuade a person like Amy? I know she is overwhelmed, but other person who can teach?
Sure,
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, I would like to say something concerning the catalog.
Sorry?
I would like to say something concerning the catalog. I'm adding all ventures in the catalog, and I would like to ask you if you can do your at least your CV, your document in English. We won't do it. I can add in all languages, and I cannot translate everything. I'm saying this because an Italian person, he did it in Italian, completely Italian. I translated, but Italian it's like Spanish just a little bit, so I did it with Google Translator.
Paulina, what you can do? Yes,
I can do it with Greek or Czech.
Paulina, what you can do is, if you receive in another language, you use a translator to give correct translator with George, and then you send it to the person. Please, is it correct? Do you want to correct things? It's more easy to do like that and to have.
I think yes.
Yeah, but better in English. Better in English.
At the beginning, maybe later in the future, we will do it. A catalog in several languages. Even if the trainer is just will give the training in his language or her language, it's not problem. That's for catalog.
Okay. George,
Okay.
any question?
No question.
Any? Okay. I suggest you 10 minutes breaks and then we will work on SWOT analysis of Ecett, and you will have the possibility to put your ideas on different color.
Only just one thing. If you contact teachers who are not so well informed about Ecett and so on, maybe they have been in the past, and keep as reference the statements we put in the service charter, because the service charter contains also our values and our framework of working. And when we will make a contract with teachers, we will ask them to subscribe and to sign. They accept that principles and that philosophy, which is the philosophy of Ecett, transformed for the new sector we are trying to work in.
Is there any contract ready?
Sorry?
Is there any contract ready?
No,
Not yet. Not yet. We have to work on it also
Okay.
with all the information you give us, feedback and discussion. That will help the group to make an example of contract, and then it will be discussed among different people.
It would help a lot.
Okay,
It would be the
Andrea,
same for everybody, you know.
Christophe can help to make a template of contracts.
That's good.
I'm not.
Thank you.
Including values, etc., then specific sentences
Yeah.
of the contract.
Yeah. So read the charter. Christophe, read the charter that has been written by the group and by Andrea and George. And so after that, maybe you can send a proposal to the group. Would be a good idea. It's a time and task of Andrea and George to help. Okay, 10 minutes, guys, for a coffee, a cigarette, and a pee-pee. Okay. Sorry.
Question.
Yes.
And so our Czech friends brought pastry from Czech Republic. So this is spoken now.
Could be free. I said the information on it. Yes, as we promised, we promised each
The story gave me this training needs the hard copy. Do you want to send it online?
Do you think that they have already filled in the question? Huh?
No. Do you want to send them to
No, it's okay. It's okay. I will do
Sure.
that. Yeah. No
Okay.
problem.
I think it's easier to do it online, but I don't know why they
Yeah,
gave me the hard copies.
It's a problem. It's not a problem. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Eleni.
Yes. Your flight tickets and your hotel.
Always forget.
Did you pay for your flight or the association? Okay. And you will be notified by your association. Okay. So you send flight tickets with grace. No, Okay?
Now I understand. Thank you very much.
Okay. And also don't forget your BIC and IBAN code.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Andrea, do you think we go in the right way? I think we have to leave a little bit. George is very tired. And yes, so we need to have okay, so the needs. Okay. So we should manage with those. Probably. And then after that, maybe there's a side package. It's not. Do you need training? I have for you. This is the job of the communication board.
Paulina, ¿quién me puede, lo del tema de la acreditación? Bueno, voy a terminar la cosa y luego te ataco.
Ya, perfecto. Yo tengo que hacer un llamado telefónico y
Vale.
vamos a terminar juntos.
Muy bien.
Si no, nos podemos entrar en el tren juntas y vamos conversando de
Vale, genial.
porque si te vas a la unidad que yo
Mira que me preguntabas, se me va a salir a las 7.
¿Está a las 7?
Mi avión sale a las 7, sí, 18:55 pues son las 7. Because I forgot about the SPQ that I have to complete it before the meeting.
Antes de ir.
ça va, merci. Je peux avoir la réinsertion maintenant. Merci. Excuse-moi, c'est moi le nouveau et ils ne répondent pas. Est-ce qu'ils ont un numéro direct? Le remise. 04, ça va être 32. Oui, écoute, merci. 07. Écoute, je vais essayer avec le français. Merci à Christelle. À bientôt. Salut.
Pues te quería, porque tengo un apellido compuesto, entonces me están diciendo que estoy dando mal mis apellidos que no coinciden con el del control sanitario.
¿Qué control sanitario? Para la
El
que...
líquido ese que tengo que aquí.
Ale, vamos a tomar un café.
Sí, sí, no, que para hacer esto antes de que empiece el taller y así no estoy... Yo bajo ahorita.
Sí, porque te vas a quedar sin café. ¿Te traigo un café?
Bueno, no tomo café, no te preocupes.
Trabaja,
No, I forgot que olvidaste mi código QR. Go to Spain. So I'm having some problems with my last name, and they say, no, it's not the right one. No, I'm afraid to do it before you start. Sí, muy bien. Andrea, ¿quién me puede explicar así despacito bien la acreditación? Para hacer la acreditación.
La acreditación de Erasmus para la movilidad.
Sí, sí, porque ajá, tenemos un par de dudas. A ver, una vez, para hacer becas, a ver dónde lo tengo yo anotado. Sí, sería something aquí tengo como tú que eres informático, this one is linear television and I wanted to do it and then I'm saying in 1 hour, but then they ask me this and I don't have this, the people from the computer system.
Yes, the administrator. You are not the administrator of the computer. No.
So I have to say.
Yes, because to set up any kind of software you need.
Yeah, so it doesn't disappear. There is no way to take it. Well, whenever I go to work. No, I just would like to make it this way. Continuar con la versión actual, but I was scared of I can do that. Ay! Finally. Okay, so
So the accreditation system is not too different from the first system, the system we had before.
because I've never done this before, so I'm not sure. Like for example, in final we have this. When I got in the Erasmus Plus, it's written we already have a PIC and ID. I asked who did it and nobody knew it, but it's written waiting for NI certification.
You have to go inside the website and to see because probably
This website.
yes, because probably there is some documents missing. Because when you do the first accreditation, you generate a number. They ask you to upload some documents, for example, the chart, the status, maybe also the last approved budget, the last approved budget maybe 2020 or something like that, 2021. And then you upload the documents and someone, a person, just to check that the documents correspond because this is not done automatically. And so it gives you a red light.
But I guess someone has the code, the passport, and I don't have it because I haven't.
There is also a recovery system, I think. So
What do you mean?
if not, you have to contact directly normally they answer in 1 day. So you contact the
Right.
support
Mm-hmm.
in 1 day. They should,
And maybe we should start working. That's what they say.
sorry?
Someone.
No, you cannot start again because I think that it keeps your VAT number, your identification number, and if you try to start again, it says there is already a company registered with your number, so you may not go.
Okay, so it's better to ask them, okay,
Yeah.
I'm a new person, I don't know what's the
Yeah.
passport to go
Yeah.
in, support me what's missing.
Because sometimes it happens that the name they used to register is a name of a person that now is not there.
It's not working.
And so it's going to that person that is going back because it doesn't exist. And so for that reason, the first step is to try to recover the password. if it doesn't work, because the mail is arriving to someone you don't know, maybe a former president or a person.
Yeah, I asked around my college, they're old and they're new and they didn't even know about this, so I tried to, well, I was asking around and they
And so
said,
you have to contact the support team, maybe they will ask you to.
you mean the safety, the support team of the...
Yes.
Okay, yeah, safety is in my country, the one that is in charge of this. Okay.
And
ask them.
to tell them, sometimes they may ask you to send your ID card, the representative, the president, ID card, and a document demonstrating that he or she is the president. Because they have to verify that I'm not, if I write for Proyecton, I'm a data stealer, and so a data thief, so they have to protect.
Okay, so there is no way to start waiting. Okay.
And after that, you have two ways to get ODP funds. One is as in the past. For each poll, you may send a proposal, but you have to complete the proposal by saying your pedagogical principle, your structure, demonstrate that you know the objectives of the European funding related to that topic or related to the action one. You have to demonstrate that you are trying to achieve the priorities defined by the Erasmus Plus program, etc., etc., etc. And you have to do that anytime. If you go
That
for
means
the-
like the call, usually it's in February, February, March.
and if you do that, you have to do that
Every year.
It is still possible, but it doesn't deserve so much work because the next year you have to start again.
So now you have the accreditation
If you have
that...
the accreditation, it is a little bit more complicated because you have to demonstrate that you have a particular structure and some requisites. At the moment, I'm not able to remember that, but you have to demonstrate that you are a structure which is capable of doing the training and so on. And after that, when you have the accreditation, you have to fill in a very, very simple, every year, a very, very simple chart by asking for grants. So you have to say, this year I want 10 grants for 10 people belonging to my organization in order to travel and name the Ecett-Networks, blah, 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 blah. But it is simple. It is like to tell them I need 10 grants for 500 euros, equal 5,000 euros.
So this
Carrément, je sais pas si je vois, mais ils veulent bien visiter aussi.
C'est ingérable votre réponse, vous avez fait un projet important, et vous qui êtes les hommes tous ces conférences, on peut bien développer particulièrement vraiment des So we still have half an hour because we have to leave with people for the train at 12:30. I will begin because I will make 2 trips from the So we have half an hour now. Our goal was to say, well, in Ecett, the internships, and you can also think to the academy. What are the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats for Ecett? So I won't ask this in general. I'll ask this really in your organization. What are, and in blue, you will have post-its. In blue, what are in your organizations the strength of Ecett? What does it have as added value? What does it bring? And the opposite, what are the weaknesses of Ecett internships and academy in your organization? And then the 2 other questions are, what are the opportunities not only in your organization, but maybe also in your country? If you say that there is a possibility in my country for, I don't know what are the opportunities for Ecett in your country? And what are the threats? Maybe there are also legal or financial threats or other things. And so I will give you can have here. So in red it is about the weaknesses. In blue it is about this. Pardon? Andrea. And I have more here. Yes, I have no red, so you will have to wait a little bit to have the red ones. But we will have 4 columns, and if you have not the right color, I will do.
So take some of each color?
Is it an individual work or
Oh, you can.
Individual, yes.
Oh, yes, both.
A
Yes.
maximum of IDs.
But the
Yes.
same country, you can work together. Of
Yes.
course. Yeah.
And I have put 4 columns, so even if you have not the red color when you need it, you can put the column is fine, but get the right column. Ecett. Internships and academic both. Yes.
Non, c'est parce que les colliers sont
D'accord.
J'aurais voulu montrer le slide sur l'accréditation. Mais il y a accès. On va jouer ça à un certain moment. Je suis pas fait voilà. Oui, ça me manque quelques heures de travail, mais c'est pas grave. Ah ouais. C'est bien. D'accord, d'accord.
Parce que personnellement, je leur dis que les choses par la façon, quand on se prend
finished, you can begin to paste your post-its on the thing, on the flip chart.
Georges, j'ai pas passé un rêve dans le 2. Un rêve dans le 2, c'est une bonne fois que je sais pas. Je sais pas. J'ai pas eu la réponse. Parce que c'est complètement un outil.
Excuse me, but not only one, I can describe a lot of.
Yeah. 1, 2. What you prefer?
When you have put your tickets, could you come? And I will organize the transport for the station. So come to me when you have finished your homework.
Yes, and please put on your post-it the initials of your organization, so we know which organization is speaking.
Georges 2.
I will put
Evelyne. Andrea, tu avais déjà acheté ton aller-retour. Ton train, tu as que le train pour Bruxelles. Ah non, tu es venu de Charleroi, toi.
Oui.
Ah, ok, ça va.
Je ne sais pas ce que je ferai ce soir. Je peux prendre le retour directement de Bruxelles pour Charleroi.
Oui, tu verras bien à ce moment-là si tu repasses par Nivelles ou si tu vas directement à Charleroi. Michael fait le même trajet que toi. Donc,
Ok. Mais aussi Christophe et Béatrice, hein?
Oui.
On a un hôtel.
Oui. Mais Christophe, il repart aujourd'hui, non?
Moi aussi.
Oui, mais ce soir.
Ah oui.
Et Christophe aussi, c'est ce soir?
Oh, je ne sais pas. On n'a pas parlé de ça.
Attends. Christophe, non, c'est demain matin, 8h25, le avion.
Ah, moi aussi. Mais nous allons à l'hôtel à Charleroi, à côté de l'aéroport. Oui. On a 2 différents hôtels.
Michael, Andrea, Béatrice et Christophe, vous serez du voyage numéro 1 pour le guide. Ok. Je t'envoie dans ton premier voyage de train 4 personnes qui sont en bagage. Ça va aller ça?
4 et leur bagage.
Parce qu'ils n'ont pas encore leur ticket. Comme ça, ils ont le temps d'acheter leur ticket. Ça va?
Et ces gens-là doivent aller à Bruxelles après.
Ces gens-là, tu ne peux pas rentrer. Après, soit ils reviennent vers Nivelles, soit ils vont vers Charleroi. Et c'est tout le monde qui fait la même chose.
D'accord, ok.
Ça va? Parce qu'ils vont à Charleroi ce soir. Donc ils vont décider ensemble s'ils achètent un aller, s'ils achètent un aller, et à Bruxelles, ils achètent un aller. Décider ça dans la journée. Est-ce que tu vas bien en arrivant à la gare? Donc moi je vais partir avec le premier trajet aussi et les gens ne vont pas les oublier. D'accord. Dans le premier trajet pour pouvoir avoir le temps de passer l'aller-retour dans la chasse. Donc je vais partir. Attends, qu'est-ce qui vient de Bruxelles? Qu'est-ce qui vient de Bruxelles? Lisa. Ah non, ce serait dans le deuxième voyage. Lisa, c'est aussi déjà leur ticket. Lisa? Yes. For the train between Brussels and here, instead, did you take one way or taxi?
George,
Taxi, yes.
Zdenka e Natasha.
Zdenka, Paulina n'a sûrement pas son ticket non plus.
I'm waiting my colleagues to answer about this because it's like difficult for me to.
Ah yes.
Yes.
Oh yes.
So
And you ask them with your
yes, I
phone?
send my questions
Fine.
because it's difficult to.
Okay.
I can say something
Yes,
but
I
I
understand.
cannot
Yes.
stand for them. So if they don't answer me in the
Okay.
next 5 or 10 minutes, I will write down. About the train, it's for me one way.
you stay in the
Okay,
papers.
stay there. I have some friends of the day tonight will stay there until tomorrow morning.
Okay, so you don't need, yes, you need a ticket to go back to Brussels.
No, just to go to Brussels now.
You have it.
No, I
No,
don't.
okay. So you need to buy a ticket.
Yes.
Okay. So,
From the train station, I think. Right? It's not.
Hélène, il faut qu'elle parte dans le premier voyage aussi. Hélène. Ça, c'est le voyage numéro 1. Dans le voyage numéro 2, c'est les gens qui ont déjà leur ticket. S'il y en a. Mais ceux qui ont fait normalement, ils ont
Donc pour la voiture de Renault aussi.
Moi je parle en 3, donc pour les nationales, et les bagages. Non, c'est pas. Begonia, did you have your train ticket to go to Bristol now? Did you get it? You have no ticket. Okay.
So, je dois le faire. Je dois le faire, Fabien.
Oh, c'est bienvenu, si tu peux le faire, c'est bienvenu.
Ah, ok.
Oui, tu peux, sinon tu auras le temps parce que Georges va faire un aller-retour.
Ah, ok.
Acheter son ticket.
Bruxelles, midi. Fabien, désolé, c'est Bruxelles midi ou
Centrale.
central?
Oui.
Fine. Have you put chase? Because so I know.
Yeah, ok.
Posso rubarti?
C'est bon.
Camille et Tracy-Dura, vous êtes venus comment de Bruxelles en train?
On était à Charleroi.
Ah, vous étiez à Charleroi.
Et là,
Ok.
on part à la gare de Bruxelles.
Donc maintenant, on repart sur Bruxelles et de Bruxelles, vous partez à Charleroi.
Non, on part de la gare de Bruxelles.
Il repart en train.
Ah, vous repartez de Bruxelles, donc c'est bon. Donc vous devez juste acheter un ticket Nivelles-Bruxelles. C'est tout. Quoi?
On va au centre-ville.
C'est près de la gare centrale. À quelle heure est votre train?
À 18h.
Oh, vous avez le temps alors. Largement le temps. Mais vous n'avez pas encore votre ticket de train. Vous l'avez déjà pour aller à Bruxelles?
Non.
Non. Ok. Donc Camille et Tracy. Et donc dans le deuxième trajet, il va rester. Alors, là c'est fait. Ici,
Tu arrives à le lire après, c'est une photo, tu peux lire, c'est
c'est fait. Bégonia, c'est fait. Christophe et Béatrice, c'est fait. Alors, tout c'est fait. Émilie, c'est fait. Toi, c'est fait. Ah, il me reste juste Denga et voilà. Et André. Voilà, tu n'en as que 2
Pour le deuxième
pour le
voyage.
deuxième voyage.
D'accord.
Ça va?
Et alors,
Maintenant,
je
vous
mettrai
devez
ceux qui veulent. Je ne rencontre pas de problème.
Et donc 2, André et
Très bien. Et alors, parce que quand ils seront en Nivelles, ceux qui vont revenir à Nivelles doivent emporter leur valise à Bruxelles.
Non.
Et on peut tout mettre dans ma voiture. Et je vais dans le gros partout. Donc, il y a tous ceux qui restent à Bruxelles qui doivent emporter leur bagage.
Et alors, Andrea et Mika, ils ne savent pas, Christophe, ils ne savent pas s'ils vont repasser par Nivelles ou s'ils vont aller de Bruxelles à Nivelles. Ça, ils savent pas encore.
Andrea, Théo.
Andrea, Christophe, Béatrice, Mika.
D'accord, parce que ce que je peux faire, c'est que je vais lui dire.
Ça, tout arrangé comme
Oui.
Je vois Camille.
Et voilà.
Andrea,
Oui.
pour le...